Weddings, when you think about it, whether it's just a handful of people or this huge multi-day thing,
Yeah.
celebrating two people, starting something new, that's, well, pretty much everywhere, isn't it?
It really is. You've always got the couple
Yeah.
right there in the middle of it all.
Taking that big step.
It's fascinating, how even though weddings look so different place to place, when you actually dig into it, you find these common threads.
Yeah.
Like connecting different cultures, different times.
Right. So for this deep dive, we've pulled together material on, well, quite a range. Ancient Egypt, Rome.
Yeah, moving into Western countries. And we've even got specific examples from England and Japan later on.
So the plan is really to explore the history, the traditions. Why do we do these things?
Exactly. Trying to get beyond just, oh, that's what happens at a wedding. More about the origins, the why.
Yeah, hopefully give some insights. So maybe you're planning one or you've got one coming
Well,
up.
I'm just curious.
Or just curious about this whole, human ritual. Maybe something will click or you'll recognize a tradition.
Let's hope so.
Okay, so let's get into it. Where do we even begin? The dawn of I do.
Well, finding the very first wedding, impossible, obviously. But we know these celebrations go way, way back.
Ancient Egypt, for instance, thousands of years ago.
Yeah, and what's striking is some basic things feel familiar even now, like early engagement customs.
How so?
Well, the groom's side, visiting the bride's family, bringing money and a gift specifically for the bride, often gold.
Okay, a gift for her.
And then the wedding itself. Sounds like it was a party. Food, singing, dancing. That celebratory feel was there from the start.
Definitely a celebration. Okay, and then Rome, ancient Rome. How did things work there?
A bit different in how couples got together. Sometimes fathers arranged it.
Right.
But daughters could apparently have a say too. What really stands out is the legal side.
Oh, like what?
The minimum age. The bride had to be at least 12, the groom 13.
12. Wow, that's young. Really different from today.
Definitely shows a different time.
Yep.
And the ceremony had some very specific bits. The bride, long white dress, flowers in her hair.
Sounds familiar.
But you also had a pronuba.
A pronuba? What's that?
Basically, a married woman, maybe a friend or her mother, who acted as a sort of guide, someone already married.
Ah, okay, like support.
Exactly. And they needed 10 male witnesses.
10? That's quite a crowd just for witnesses.
It really shows how formal and legally recognized the union was. Plus, after the ceremony, a party at the couple's new home, gift giving.
That part sounds very much like today, doesn't it?
It's amazing how those core ideas stick around.
So moving forward a bit, later Western countries,
Yeah.
families still arranging things?
Oh, yeah. Families were still very involved. Matchmakers, too, sometimes.
And where did the wedding actually happen?
Interestingly, at first, usually the bride's house.
Not at a church.
Not typically, no. That shift towards the church being the main place, that seems to have happened around the 1500s.
Huh. Okay, so from these ancient roots, we start moving towards what feels maybe a bit more familiar. And it all kicks off with, well, how do people even decide to get married today? The proposal and all that.
Right, the how they met stories are so varied now, aren't they? Work, parties, friends.
Or matchmakers, still sometimes.
Yeah, it still happens. And then you get the proposal moment, that big question.
Sometimes planned down to the last detail, sometimes totally spontaneous.
And there's that quirky tradition in some places about Leap Day, February 29th.
Oh yeah, where women can propose.
Exactly. And once you get the yes, well, in many Western cultures, that starts the engagement period.
Marked very often by a ring, the engagement ring. It's such a potent symbol.
It really is. And its history is quite fascinating, the whole diamond engagement ring thing.
Where did that come from?
It seems to have gotten a massive boost back in 1477. Archduke Maximilian of Austria gave a diamond ring to Mary of Burgundy.
Ah, so he started the trend.
Seems like it really helped popularize it, yeah. But diamonds weren't always the standard. Before that, you had things like the gimmel ring.
Gimmel, what was that like?
Popular in Germany and England, like 16th, 17th centuries. Really clever design. 2, sometimes 3, interlocking bands.
Oh, cool.
So during the engagement, the couple might each wear one band. Then at the wedding, they're joined together on the bride's finger, symbolizing the two becoming one.
I love that. That physical joining. Very symbolic.
You still see rings inspired by that idea today. And ring traditions vary so much, don't they?
Definitely. Like sometimes the groom gets an engagement ring too now.
Right. Or in Germany, they exchange gold rings before the wedding, wear them on the left hand, then switch to the right hand after they're married.
And Brazil has something similar, moving the ring.
Yeah. the bride's ring moves hands,
Yeah.
and you've got jade rings in China for good luck. It just shows how culture weaves into these things completely. And engagements often involve gifts, not just the ring, sometimes between the families too.
Right, which brings us to the idea of a bride price.
Yeah, in some cultures, Indonesia, Pakistan, Uganda, for example, it's money or goods. Could be gold, animals, clothes, food.
Given by the groom's family to the brides.
Yes. Historically, maybe it was about economics or acknowledging the bride's family for, well, losing her contribution to their household.
Interesting. And that contrasts with Hawaii, where the tradition was more about providing house materials.
Exactly. Materials for the couple's new home, provided by the groom's family, just different ways of establishing that new family unit formally.
It really is fascinating. Okay, so engagements sorted, gifts might be exchanged, then come the parties before the wedding.
Ah, yes, the last hurrahs. Hen nights, bachelorette parties for the bride.
Stag nights, bachelor parties for the groom, and that sort of final party with your friends.
And then there's that beautiful Japanese tradition making 1,000 paper cranes, origami cranes.
Oh, I love that. For good luck.
Exactly. 1,000 cranes folded by hand, representing wishes for good fortune and a long, happy marriage. Such a tangible symbol of hope.
It really is lovely. Okay, so pre-wedding stuff done. Now the big day itself. What to wear. That's always a huge part of it.
It is. The first image that usually pops into mind is the bride in white.
For sure. The classic white dress.
But that huge popularity, as we mentioned, really took off after Queen Victoria wore white in 1840.
Yeah.
She had orange blossoms, too.
So before her, brides wore other colors.
Yeah, often just their best dress, whatever color it was. Wealthier brides might have a new one made. Blue was apparently popular for a while.
And some colors were avoided.
In some Western traditions, yeah, red and black were sometimes seen as unlucky for weddings.
Which is funny because in other parts of the world...
Exactly. Red is the color in China and India. Super lucky, auspicious, often with gorgeous gold embroidery.
Right. And you mentioned Spain, black is traditional there.
Traditionally, yes, an expensive black wedding dress. It really shows how deep the cultural symbolism runs.
Definitely. And then the veil, another iconic element.
The veil. Again, variations. White in the West, often, but red in India and China. Even hair veils in parts of Africa.
And that moment in Western weddings where the groom lifts the veil.
Such a classic image, isn't it? A symbolic reveal.
What about the groom? Usually dark suit in the West?
Typically, yeah. Black or dark suit. But again, so much variety globally.
Like?
Think about Hawaii, long white shirt and trousers. Or traditional Korean weddings, bright red and blue, with a tall black hat. Really striking.
Wow. And you mentioned a Spanish tradition with the shirt.
Yeah, the bride embroidering a shirt for the groom to wear. Such a personal, lovely touch.
It really is. Okay, so bride and groom are sorted. What about the wedding party? Bridesmaids, groomsmen?
The support crew. Bridesmaids usually close friends, sisters, maybe a matron of honor if one is married.
And the little ones, flower girls, page boys. So cute.
Always adorable. And an interesting bit of history. Bridesmaids supposedly wore similar dresses to the bride way back when.
Why?
To confuse evil spirits, protect the bride.
No way. That's wild. Okay, and on the groom side?
Groomsmen, obviously. And the best man. Key roles there.
Holding the rings, being a witness.
Yeah, and in some cultures, that role implies like long-term support for the couple, too. It's more than just the day.
It really highlights that community aspect, doesn't it? Okay, everyone's dressed, ready to go. Let's talk ceremony.
The main event.
In a typical Western wedding, the groom gets there first, right? With the guests.
Usually, yeah. Builds the anticipation.
Yeah.
And there's that superstition.
Don't see the bride before the ceremony. Bad luck.
Exactly. Whether people truly believe it or just enjoy the tradition. Then the bride arrives, often a special car. Her bridesmaids are there.
Music starts, walking down the aisle, usually with her father.
That's the classic image, yeah. The father giving away the bride. It's a very ingrained moment.
And then the core of it, the vows, the I do's.
Simple words, but so powerful. And beyond the vows, there are so many rituals about unity. Sharing a drink is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, you see that everywhere, like special wine cups in China.
Uh-huh. And in Bulgaria and Russia, 3 sips from the same glass. France has the coupe de mariage.
Is it a special cup?
Often a family heirloom, yeah. A 2-handled cup. And in Japan, sharing sake bride, groom, then the parents. It all points to sharing one life, one future.
Beautiful symbolism. And then there are rituals that physically bind the couple.
Literally. White thread in Hindu ceremonies. In Cambodia, guests tie threads around their wrists.
Thailand, too, white threads between their heads.
Yes. And the Hopi tradition of actually tying the couple's hair together. Very direct symbolism of becoming one.
Wow. And of course, the rings again, the wedding rings.
Can't forget those. Used way back by Egyptians, Romans. That unbroken circle.
Eternity, everlasting love.
Exactly. Then there are these slightly more boisterous traditions for luck, like breaking things.
Breaking things, like what?
In Jewish weddings, the groom breaks a glass underfoot. In Bulgaria, the bride might throw a plate.
Throw a plate for good luck.
Apparently. Maybe to scare off bad luck. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Definitely different. Okay, so ritual's done, then comes the official bit, making it legal.
Right, signing the register or a special book in many Western weddings.
Hmm.
Or the Nikarnama in Muslim traditions. The official record.
And finally, they walk out together, married.
The recessional.
Yeah.
The first steps as a married couple ready for the party.
Yes, the reception, the celebration part.
And these can really vary. Some go all night. Mexico, Italy.
Some go for days. Russia, you mentioned.
2 days is common there. And Morocco, traditional weddings can last a week.
A whole week. Wow, food must be central.
Oh, absolutely. Special dishes. Lucky foods, too, like red-colored food in China and Japan for happiness.
Then the cake. The wedding cake is huge in Western cultures.
Definitely. Usually tiered, white, flowers, maybe that little bride and groom topper.
I've heard some people save the top tier.
Yeah, for the first anniversary or sometimes the first child's christening. It's a sweet tradition.
And there are other kinds of cakes too, right?
Oh, yeah. The French croquembouche, an amazing tower of little cream puffs stuck together with caramel.
Looks incredible.
And special breads, like the Ukrainian kordovai, baked by 7 women, decorated with symbols, birds, sun, flowers.
Representing good wishes.
Exactly. And cutting the cake or the bread, always a big photo moment.
Definitely. Then come the speeches.
Right. Words from the best man, the groom, maybe the bride now, too, in the West. Guests might speak in Japan.
Sharing stories, thanking people.
Yeah, thanking family and friends, wishing the couple well, and that Russian tradition of throwing the glasses after the toast.
Throwing glasses, seriously.
Seems so. A dramatic way to seal the toast.
Okay, and then music, dancing.
The fun part. The first dance is always special. And then everyone joins in. Those circle dances look amazing. Greece, Bulgaria, Jewish receptions.
Where they lift the bride and groom on chairs.
Yes. Looks terrifying but joyful. And let's not forget the bouquet toss.
The bride throws her flowers.
To the single ladies, tradition says whoever catches it is next to marry.
A classic moment. Okay, so much tradition, so much symbolism. But let's talk brass tacks. Money. Weddings cost money.
They certainly can. A lot. Sometimes. In the UK, the average cost is, well, significant.
And the biggest chunks are usually the reception and honeymoon.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Followed by what the bride wears.
Yeah.
And who pays. Traditionally, it was the bride's parents.
But that's changing, isn't it?
Very much so. Couples often contribute now or pay for it all themselves.
And how money features in the wedding varies too, like guests giving money.
Yeah, different ways. In Italy, maybe putting money in a special bag. Poland, pinning money onto the bride's dress during a dance.
Really?
Greece and Turkey, often giving cash directly to the couple, for their new life, honeymoon.
Practical gifts and putting money in the bride's shoe. Hungary and Portugal.
That's another tradition, yeah. Offering that support.
Interesting. And what about financial gifts from the groom?
Well, in China, the groom often gives red envelopes with money to the bride's friends and family, kind of like clearing the way.
Okay. And those gold coins in Spain and Mexico?
The arras. 13 gold coins from the groom to the bride, symbolizing sharing everything, providing for the household.
Right. And we talked about bride price earlier.
Yes, that comes up again here. And in Muslim weddings, there's the mahr.
What's that?
It's a mandatory payment from the groom directly to the bride. It's hers, acknowledges her worth, provides security.
So many diverse financial traditions. And then you get the really extravagant weddings.
Oh, yeah, like that Indian wedding for Subrata Roy's sons. The scale was just mind-blowing.
Thousands of guests, huge stars performing.
Unbelievable amounts of food, gifts for the underprivileged, just a whole other level of celebration.
Definitely puts things in perspective. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe let's look at a couple of specific weddings to see how these things play out in real life, like a tale of two celebrations.
Good idea. First, maybe Graham and Kendra's English wedding.
Okay. They met in Bosnia, got engaged on a mountain. Romantic.
Very. And their wedding was in a London church in July. They did the whole hen and stag party thing beforehand.
Lots of international guests, you said.
Yeah, real mix. The bridesmaids wore dark blue and gold. They had a pretty traditional church ceremony, photos in a park.
Reception with dinner, speeches, the usual.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They kept some traditions not seeing each other before, the white dress, but they personalized it too.
How?
Their cake had flags on it, reflecting their travels and international connections. A really nice touch.
That's lovely. Okay, and then I and Carl's Japanese wedding. Different feel.
Quite different in parts. Met in Tokyo, got engaged in Paris, another romantic story.
And married in Kyoto in April. Beautiful time for it, with the cherry blossoms maybe.
Exactly. I wore a stunning traditional kimono, red and yellow flowers. Carl wore a black kimono too, family kimonos as well.
Wow, so very traditional attire.
For that part, yes. They had a big family dinner. Then the next day, a reception in Osaka that felt more Western.
Ah, okay. So I changed into a white dress.
Yes, and Carl into a dark suit. Interestingly, no bridesmaids. That's not really standard in Japan.
Right. What else stood out?
They did the cake cutting. Lots of international guests there too. A very emotional moment was I reading a letter to her parents.
Oh, that's touching.
And they had a travel theme too, with flags and photos on the tables. Plus, they followed the Japanese custom of giving presents to the guests.
Oh, the couple gives gifts. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you gifts. And their honeymoon was traveling around Japan with family. A lovely blend of traditions.
It really shows how couples mix and match, make it their own. Which kind of leads us to the final topic, destination weddings. Taking the whole thing on the road.
Exactly. Saying, I do somewhere else. It's become really popular, hasn't it?
Seems like it. Combining the wedding and the honeymoon, sometimes called a wedding moon.
Yeah, lots of couples from the UK, the US are choosing it.
Huh.
And you see celebrities doing it, which probably boosts the idea.
Like, whoa, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes in that Italian castle.
Right. David and Victoria Beckham in Ireland. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner in the Caribbean.
So why do people choose it? What are the reasons?
Loads of reasons, really. Maybe the couple comes from different places, so a neutral location makes sense. Or they just want something unique, memorable.
Escaping family expectations, maybe?
Could be. Or wanting a really non-traditional ceremony, beach, mountaintop, castle.
And it often means a smaller guest list, right? More intimate.
Usually, yeah. And if you live somewhere cold, a sunny destination is pretty appealing.
Definitely. And planners specializing in these destinations, like Hawaii, must make it easier.
For sure. They handle the logistics.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it's just amazing, isn't it? Looking at weddings across time, across cultures.
It really is. From ancient Egypt giving gifts to modern couples flying off to get married on a beach.
The core ideas seem to stick around. Commitment, community, hope for the future.
And it's striking how different traditions often have similar roots,
Yeah.
you know? Gift giving to establish the union, sharing drinks for togetherness.
Binding rituals. They all point to the same fundamental things, just expressed differently. Makes you think about the weddings you've been to, doesn't it? Which traditions stand out? What feels important?
It really does. And maybe that leaves a question for you, our listener, to think about. In this world where things change so fast, what do you think are the absolute core parts of a wedding?
Yeah, what truly defines it for you?
And what does that say about what we value in partnerships, in celebrating them? Maybe even consider, how is technology, globalization, changing weddings even now in the 21st century? Something to ponder.